The time has come for the Carbink PvP IV deep dive, focusing on the best PvP IVs for Carbink, the new god of the Great League PvP. If you want more information about how Carbink is going to influence the Great League meta and how to prepare for the Carbink meta, I already got a video on that, link up above and in the description. This video, however, is going to be focusing on its IVs. And if you're not too familiar with my PvP IV deep dive series, or if at any point in this video you get kind of confused what I'm talking about, link up above and in the description to my PvP IVs simplified video. Basically, get your feet wet before you dive off into the deep end here. And throughout this video, I'm going to be featuring PvP IV tables. If you want the links to those tables, or if you want to reference any of the information in this video in a text-based format, link down below to my article on GamePress, the Carbink PvP IV deep dive, which has all that information for you. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Starting out, Carbink has two different fast moves. It has Rock Throw and it has Tackle. And while Rock Throw is generally the better move, Tackle does have a lot of intrigue to it. When it comes to Carbink's PvP IVs though, Rock Throw has the big juicy attack breakpoints, and Tackle doesn't really have any attack breakpoints aside from a Cresselia breakpoint that you're probably going to be getting anyways. When it comes to which fast move you want to use on your Carbink though, it kind of comes down to what advantages you want your Carbink to have, what kind of role you're going to use it in, and what kind of meta that you're expecting to face with it. So if you want your Carbink to be good as like a hard counter or in neutral matchups, then you're going to go with the Rock Throw. If you're using the Carbink as like a safe swap or pivot Pokemon though, you might want to go with the Tackle so it can manage some of its tougher matchups a little bit better. I'd say for GBL, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to want to go for the Rock Throw, but if you are into tournament play or you have a, pretty good handle on what you want to do with your Carbink, you feel like Tackle is the right thing to do, then yeah, Tackle is definitely worth considering. In this video though, the IVs that we talk about are going to pertain to both the Tackle and the Rock Throw movesets. Starting out with the bulk weighted Carbink here, these are the high-end bulk Carbinks. What's cut here on the list is 128 HP. 128 HP can be important for a lot of the Carbink mirror matchups because they don't always end on the charge move, they can end on the fast move. And yeah, if you got the higher HP, it's more likely that they're going to end on a fast move and you're going to win it because you're surviving by that 1 or 2 HP that you need to overcome the mirror match. So pretty big there. It can also help out in Cofagrigus matchups for both the Rock Throw and Tackle movesets. With the Rock Throw moveset, it can also help against Azumarill and Cresselia. And if you are using the Tackle moveset, it can be important for maintaining an advantage against Sableye in the 0-1 shield scenario, as well as the Noctowl in the 0-1 shield scenario. And I'd say the Noctowl 0-1 is pretty important on the defense. So I'd say if you wanted to rank this out, if you had like 2 of these Carbink and you need to decide which one you're actually going to build, I'd start this list by defense, because to overcome the Noctowl in the 0-1 shield scenario with a Tackle Carbink, you have to overcome its Shadow Ball breakpoint. Now, these defense stats can overcome like a rank 1 Noctowl, but if you checked out the Noctowl PvP IV deep dive, link up above and in the description, if you don't know about Noctowl, I think it's pretty common knowledge at this point though that Noctowl wants to have a bit of an attack weight. Well, the more of an attack weight it has, the more you're going to want to crank up this defense. Now, if the Noctowl has well above like a 105.36, I think, attack stat, then no defense stat is going to cut it, and you're just going to lose to that Shadow Ball in the 0-1 shield scenario. Noctowl might have less attack than that, because to get the Azumarill and Galarian Stunfisk breakpoints that it's chasing, if it just gets it and then wants to focus on bulk after that, then it might not have that level of attack. I'd say for GBLers, this isn't that dire of a situation, but if you are eyeing up the Play Pokemon Championship series or any grassroots tournament series, well, this is something that you might want to keep in mind for your Carbink. The defense isn't all about this Shadow Ball Noctowl breakpoint either. There is a Toxapex breakpoint. Toxapex can flip the matchup against Carbink pretty easily in a lot of shield scenarios if it gets the Poison Jab breakpoint, and you can flip them right back if you have enough defense to avoid that breakpoint. And it's not too unrealistic to avoid it from, relatively IV statted Toxapex. However, if you are up against the 93 attack weighted Lickitung Slayer Toxapex that I talk about in my Toxapex PvP IV deep dive. Link above in the description if you want to eye that one up. Well, then once again, no defense stat is going to save you against that. And I feel like the Lickitung Slayer might appreciate here in this new meta because, well, Umbreon is kind of going down, Sableye kind of going down, Lickitung rising up, Carbink rising up. Could this be Toxapex's time to shine? Well, all the Mud Boys and Steel types that are also rising up suggest that it might still be kind of tough for Toxapex, but definitely worth thinking about if you haven't built a Toxapex already. Next up, we have the 83 different attack-weighted Carbink here. And once again, if you want to check out these PvP IV tables yourself to ogle, link in the description to my article on GamePress, the Carbink PvP IV Deep Dive. There will be hyperlinks provided to these tables, so you can check them out and customize them yourself. But back to the attack-weighted Carbink here, this list is cut at 85.81 attack. And the attack weight is important for both the Lantern and Trevenant matchups. Now, both Lantern and Trevenant, you can get these important breakpoints on them at 85 attack. I have this set at 85.81 though, because Trevenant and Lantern are both Pokemon that prefer to have a higher defense weight. If you checked out my deep dives on them, link up above to the Lantern one and link to both in the description there. Yeah, they prefer to be, really, really high in the defense. In fact, the current world champion, it's Axon, used one of these swag-approved high defense Lantern to get the throne. So having a bit of attack weight on your Carbink if you're trying to get the breakpoint on those Pokemon to flip those matchups, kind of important. Now, if you are trying to chase after the It's Axon level of defense on the Lantern, then you're going to need at least an 86.09 attack weight. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, 86.09 attack weight. So it is something that you'll want to keep in mind for that matchup in particular. However, there is only like a narrow handful of ideal Lantern that can get that level of defense. And the difference in defense between like that level and the next best thing is like, it's a pretty steep drop off. So for general GBL purposes, you might not need this high of an attack to manage that. Where when it comes to the maximum defense Trevenant, like the best Trevenant period, 85.81 will cover that. So just something to keep in mind there. This list is also cut at 124 HP, and that's just to help keep you viable, mainly for the Medicham 0-1 shield scenario. It does also give you advantages for the Shadow Drapion 1-1 shield scenario, and possibly the Shadow Venusaur 1-0 scenario and the Swagafty 0-1 shield scenario. But when it comes to the Shadow Venusaur and the Swagafty in particular, because of the question mark on their attack weights there, it might be unreasonable for 124 HP to cover it. You might need 125. But the big ticket item here is going to be the Medicham 0-1 shield scenario. And then when it comes to the defense was kind of a dump stat in this situation. Higher defense is often really good for the Carbink, but if we're trying to meet this attack breakpoint and meet this HP check, something's got to give. So I have this cut at 239.06 on the defense, and that's just to maintain the Frostlass 0-0 and 1-1 shield scenarios with the Tackle Carbink. Considering the highest attack of my premium charge move priority attack-weighted Frostlass from my Frostlass PvP IV Deep Dive, I think I ran out of cards that I can link up above, but I'll have it linked in the description for you if you want to check that out. But yeah, I figured if there's any line in the sand to draw for the defense, that would probably be the one to do. So in case you build just one Carbink, you could still flex it into being a Tackle Carbink and not be stuck in the sand against the Frostlass there. So in a sense, you could consider going for like 86.09 as being better, and then for the Shadow Venusaur situation, going for 125 HP as a minimum could be better. And that does cut this list down to 15 different options, right? So the 83 I feel are going to be perfectly a-okay for the vast majority of players, but you can customize these lists based on the breakpoints that I highlight in this video to get a more refined list for the jobs that you're trying to focus in on. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about the PvP IVs here. I try to give people a good recommendation, but obviously we can get a bit more specific about it, a bit more bespoke on the PvP IVs. And then finally, I have this list here of the 222 general good Carbink PvP IVs. Shoot for the moon, land among the stars. I'd say all 222 of these IV spreads are perfectly a-okay for Carbink if you don't have any of the hyper-specific ones. This list here is cut at 246.74 defense, which is for the rank 1 Toxapex matchup, so having higher defense than that will provide you more protection against the Toxapex. Similarly, this defense stat and having higher defense than it as well will make you consistent for the Shadow Venusaur 1-0 shield scenario with 124 HP. You probably won't need 125 or 126 to have that extra padding with that higher defense stat here. And then the HP here is cut at 124 because I'd say, like, if you're not at that premium level of, HP, 124 is a-okay. Like 124 is going to be basically as good as 25 or 26. 27 a little bit better, and then 28's like way better. So yeah, I'd say 24 is a really good starting point. If you get really specific about it, 123 can also be acceptable, but I find it to be a little bit flaky there. So I'm recommending 124 for this video. And then when it comes to the attack weights, this does have 85 attack weighted Pokemon. So while you wouldn't be able to get the breakpoint against a high defense weighted Lantern or Trevenant, this still could get the attack breakpoint against a Lantern or Trevenant. So just something else to keep in mind here with these lists. At any rate, that's all I got to say about Carbink PvP IVs right now. If you got any questions on this content, of course, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these patron supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description. If you got any questions on this content, of course, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. If you got any questions on this content, I already said that.